Well, thank you, Phil, for a nice introduction. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. And it is indeed my great privilege and honor to deliver the keynote speech in this morning. And well, this morning, I'd like to share my opinions and thoughts about universal reform for the Industrial Revolution. First of all, let me thank to Professor Dr. Phil Berry and Professor Lee for kind invitation for this wonderful meeting. So what I'm going to discuss for 30 minutes is as follows. First, I'd like to describe the three mega trends and characterizing the first industrial revolution. Then I will extensively discuss about the university reform with respect to education and research and technology commercialization. And then I will discuss the national policies in Korea to realize the first industrial revolutions. I'm sure that most of you know that Professor Klaus Schwab, he's a founder and the CEO of World Economic Forum, has first coined the first industrial revolution. He said, first industrial revolution comes on us like a tsunami. And last week, I had a personal meeting with him during the Summer Davos Forum held in Darren in China. And he strongly believed that the revolution will be occurred. That's unprecedented in the history. And, but it's questionable whether it's a revolution or evolution. But it is unquestionable the great change will be happen in science and technology, and thus also in society. So it is very important to understand the mega trend of science and technology in the coming years. And what are the mega trends? And from my point of view, there are three mega trends. And first mega trend is hyperconnectivity. And within 10 years, most of people in the world will be connected through internet and mobile phones. On the other hand, maybe around 2050, all devices will be connected through IoT. So we'll live in the smart new world where the physical world and cyber world are connected with each other through sensing, communication, and computation and control. So in this smart world, all peoples and things in the world will be connected and communicated with the velocity of light. So we truly live in the hyperconnected society characterized by collective intelligence. Wikipedia is one of the examples, and collaboration through crowdsourcing and sharing economy. And Uber and Airbnb is a good example of a sharing economy company, as you know. Second mega trend is a super intelligence realized by a rapid progress of AI, by deep learning technology, together with the progress in computer hardware, big data, and brain science. Google developed AI named AlphaGo, you know that, has achieved landslide victories against the human Go champions, such as Lee Sedol in Korea and Geije in China. And so Demetrius Hassabis declared that AlphaGo would retire from competition against the human Go because there is no meaning to compete with the human Go. And this AI this AI is developed for a variety of applications, as shown here. And humanoid guide robot who can speak a couple of languages is popular. And also Hansen Robotics made an AI robot named Sophia. And this gesture and face is really similar like a human being. And if you like the golf, you never compete with the AI golf robot. And this was done at the PGA event last year. And AI golf robot played a hole-in-one, as you see here. And give a big hand to AI golfer. And if your wife hates to cook just by AI cooking robot, and the IBM Watson is now widely used in the hospital, and AI lawyer will be developing to help your judgment. Robo advisor is a help for your investment. AI painter is a help your painting, and AI even help your research. And based on big data, AI can accelerate R&D to search for new medicines and materials and analysis of DNA. So now question is that how far is the AI is developed? According to the futurist Ray Kurzweil, he predicts that AI is developed singularity point by year 2045, where the AI surpass human intelligence. Personally, I don't want AI developed that far, but believe it or not, in the near future, AI robot, which I call robo-sapiens, I made this terminology, and robo-sapiens will be everywhere. So Homo sapiens and robo-sapiens will coexist in our society, and therefore we have to seek for symbiosis between Homo sapiens, human being, and the robo-sapiens. And also now we have to think seriously about the identity of human beings. And we never compete the AI's memory ability, functional expression, information processing and calculating ability, and physical abilities. As a human being, we have tried to enhance creativity, emotional expression, insight and intuition, and wisdom. So the third mega trend is a convergence in science and technology. In 21st centuries, new findings and inventions will be based on interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary approaches. Over 95% of inventions will be based on so-called NBIC convergence technique. I'm sure you know that NBIC stands for nano, bio, info, and cognitive science. And smart industry in the first industrial revolution, such as smart car, smart security, smart grid, fintech, smart city, smart factory, smart food, and smart media, are realized by a convergence of AI with big data, IoT, cloud computing, and 5G. So considering all these megatrends, universal reform is imperative and urgent for the Industrial Revolution, in particular with respect to education, research, and technology commercialization. So now let me discuss about the innovation for education. What kind of manpower should be fostered in the era of the first Industrial Revolution? It's a very critical and important question for next generation education. As I mentioned, the era of the first Industrial Revolution is characterized by high connectivity, super intelligence, and convergence. I think that we have to foster talent equipped with the abilities for collaboration, creativity, and communication. For that, I like to propose the whole brain training by strengthening basic education. We emphasize the strong basic science education, such as physics, chemistry, biology, and mathematics. And also we have to emphasize basic engineering education, such as AI, computer coding, big data, statistics, auto control, design engineering, etc. With this kind of education, students are easily adaptable to rapidly developing science and technologies. I also like to emphasize to diversify the knowledge with the humanities, social sciences, and art as a well-rounded talents. With this kind of education, we can improve our students to have a creativity and storytelling abilities. So I like to strongly advise you in the class, team-based learning and flipped learning is very important for collaboration and creativities for our students. So this kind of whole brain training, I like to propose the implementation of a non-departmental education. This table shows the undergraduate program at DGIST, where I was a founding president for 6 years. And for 3 years, students are educated with a solid background in basic science and engineering, diverse knowledge with the humanities, creative leadership, and entrepreneurship education. When they come to the seniors, they get the track customized education depending on their future careers. I also implement this non-departmental education track at KAIST when I joined the KAIST as a president. And at KAIST, for the first year, all students take the non-departmental education track. And after the second years, they take one of the two tracks. One is a traditional major track or non-departmental educational tracks. Now let me discuss about innovation for research excellence. What is excellence research? This is the topic of this seminar. And I think excellence research is not fast follower, but first mover R&D, which is aiming for world best, world first, or world only one. So which brings about the global impact through the creation of a new knowledge and creation of economic values. I call this kind of research as the U-shaped research output. That's my terminology. Then question is, how can we achieve the research excellence? I like to propose 3 things. First one, for the research excellence, is to carry out the convergence research across the various majors. As I mentioned before, in the 21st century, innovative and disruptive discoveries are produced through the cross-disciplinary collaboration rather than a single professor specialty in one particular field. So for this, we implement a metric system. So in this metric system, faculty and professors from different majors participated in the convergence research. Wallis Open Lab, shown here, is highly recommended to promote collaboration for the people coming from different majors. Let me show several examples for convergence research carried out at KAIST. One is the smart mobile healthcare, namely Dr. M project. Research aim of Dr. M is to implement innovative smart mobile healthcare system which collects and symptomatically analyzes the user's various biosignals and provides services to customers in real time. So this project is carried out by a convergence in several expertise in biosignal sensors, battery, IoT, big data, disease analysis and predictions, medical devices, and etc. So 30 faculty members from 7 departments and many people from 8 companies participate in this project. Another project I'd like to introduce is a humanoid robot, Hubo. Hubo is Korea's first humanoid robot. He is the winner of a DARPA robot challenges, and this challenge is a competition for robots to overcome the disaster scenarios. And this robot is not controlled by a human being, and all actions and movements are done by itself. So he now opens the door and goes through, and he closes the valve by turning the wheel and try to find out the next job. So next job is drill the hole. So he tried to find out the right size to drill. So he's thinking this is right or wrong. Then try to find out the right one. Yeah, he got the right one. So now he make a hole with the right side drill. Yes, he made it. So anyway, so it's going, job is going on. So anyway, he got the winner, and project leader named Professor Ojuno got $2 million prize. It's larger than the Nobel Prize. But I want to say is that this project is not done by one single professor. It's done by many professors in different backgrounds in hardware and softwares. And AI is a very important area for convergence research. So there are many AI-based convergence researches going on at KAIST. Let me give a couple of examples. One is AI-based fake news detection, which is a research on AI algorithm to detect the fake news and reduce the social unrest. So you can see the difference between the propagation of fake news and propagation of factual information. The other project is AI drone swarm. So we control the several drones simultaneously, and now this shows that we control the 3 drones simultaneously, as you see here. And now we are developing the AI algorithm to control the more than 100 drones simultaneously. Second suggestion is to introduce collaborative lab across generation. I don't know the situation in Taiwan, but the university labs in Korea closed down immediately after professor retires. This year, I'm the retirement age, so my lab is closed down coming August. So as a consequence, the labs lose the benefit of their academic achievements attained over 30 years. This is a tremendous loss for the university and also for the society. So to overcome these issues, I plan to introduce the collaborative lab across the generation system at KAIST to better retain our academic successes without interruption and to improve the continuity of research. Universities in Japan have a similar system like this. One successful story is this, the development of a blue LED. Professor Akasaki in Nagoya University was the first generation scholar, and Professor Amano was a second generation scholar. They carried out the basic research on gallium nitride for 30 years across a generation, and they finally developed the blue LED. So third suggestion is international collaboration. I'm sure that you did this. Especially in mega science, mega project should be carried out through the collaborative research among many countries. If there is some particle physicist, CERN, located in Geneva, it is a great place for international collaborations. And the CERN is visited by more than 7,000 scientists from 80 countries. Of course, 25 researchers from Korea visited this CERN facility, and they carry out a large ion collider experiment, and they got the great result. Human brain research is another mega science project carried out in many countries. In Korea, R&D investment in this brain science is only 0.6% compared to USA. So with this kind of money, we cannot compete with USA and Japan. So we have to collaborate with other countries. So now let me discuss about innovation for technology commercialization. Until the mid-19th century, the role of the university was only education. The introduction of graded courses in early 20th century brought about the first university reform with the addition of a research function. Under the current second university reform, University for Entrepreneurship is emphasizing universities serve not only as a cradle of new knowledge, but also as a hub for business creations. With regard, Stanford University and MIT in USA are role model university to implement second university reform. Some of you know Professor Frederick Tolman. He is known as the father of Silicon Valley, has emphasized entrepreneurship education in the university from the 1930s. So many Stanford graduates have found about 40,000 businesses, creating 5.4 million jobs and annual revenue of $2.7 trillion. This annual revenue is comparable to the twice of Korean GDP. So it's great revenue. On the other hand, MIT graduates have founded about 25,000 businesses, creating 3.3 million jobs and annual revenue of $2 trillion. Well, KAIST is known as the cradle of venture in Korea. And so far, KAIST graduates has established about 14,000 startups, which produced about $12 billion in sales and creating 36,000 new jobs. So compared to MIT and Stanford, we are really small, so we have to grow up. And also recently, good news is recently students are interested in startups, and last few years, about 90 startups are established. And we emphasized entrepreneurship education. So there are a variety of programs relating to entrepreneurship education. One of the entrepreneurship education I'd like to introduce is a convergence capstone design program for undergraduates. And company propose the problem they have. Then students who are interested in solving this problem participate in this project. So 5 or 6 students participate with the supervision of 1 or 2 professors. So there are teams coming from company and students and faculty, and they redefine the problems, and they make some creative idea, and they make some design, and they finally make some prototype. And also during the project, the basis on their ideas, they file a patent, and finally they propose a business model. So company is so satisfied with this project. So every semester, more than 10 projects are carried out. We also provide degree programs for graduates, and one is a K-School. There is a Master for Engineering, Entrepreneurship, Innovation. And the other one is Social Entrepreneurship, MBA, which is the Master for Business and Administration. We emphasize the social entrepreneurship education, which pursues the social value of company. I think it's very important to teach our young generation what is the purpose to create a venture. So final purpose should be to pursue the social value for the country, for the human being, for the whole world. We have established an Institute of Startup KAIST to help our professors and students making company. And the mission of ISK is the development of a successful tech-based Korean startup model with a cultural diffusion for entrepreneurship and startup education, and ecosystem for pre-acceleration, and globalization for market. So last 3 years, we have established 60 companies based on our result. And these are some of them. For instance, a wearable tech company produced a flexible battery, and TomoCube company produced a holographic 3D microscope, which is very interesting to directly visualize live cell with a resolution of 1 micrometer. So I'm sure that here are many doctors buy this. And KAIST Idea is Korea's first Delta-type 3D printer, which produces very cheap 3D printers. So the basis on innovation related to the patent, KAIST is now rated most innovative university in Asia. I hope that KAIST is the most top university in Asia by the TH ranking someday. And also KAIST ranked sixth in the world. Okay, so for the last 5 minutes, I'd like to present about the national policies in Korea. Korea has made a miraculous progress over the past half century. Korea is the only nation that achieved industrialization, informatization, and globalization in a short period of time. In particular, phenomenal compressed economic growth made Korea from the poorest country to one of the world's top 10 economies, which is frequently expressed as a miracle on the high level. This table demonstrates a rapid economic growth and technological achievements over the past half century. And for instance, the GDP has increased by 650 times, and volume of exports is increased nearly 10,000 times. GDP per capita is increased 335 times. 50 years ago, there is no single essay paper was published by Korea, but now Korea published more than 50,000 papers, make Korea ranking 12th in the world. In terms of US patents, Korea is now ranked first in the world. Now the question is, what brought about such a phenomenal change? There are many driving factors, but it takes another 30 minutes to say all. So if I say one driving factor relevant to my presentation, is there has been a national strategy. Government has made 5 times 5-year economic development plan since 1962. Together with the economic development plan, there has been a technology advancement plan, including securement of a technological knowledge and human capital, acceleration in technology introduction, building infrastructure for promoting science and technology. And this is a blueprint, I apologize, written in Korean, but believe me, and this national strategy is very concrete and well defined. But now, Korea stands at the stall point, that destined either to solidify its place as an advanced nation, based on the miraculous progress during the last half century, or be caught in a middle income trap with a stagnant economies. So new government now adopt first industrial revolution as a new growth engine. And the government is planning to organize first growth revolution committee directly under the president of Korea. The chairman of the committee will be the level of the prime minister. So that much government is serious about this. Of course, science and technology will be the backbone in realizing first industrial revolution. And so these are the major national R&D policies. First, to expand national R&D investment and improve its efficiency by constantly increasing R&D budget with a total government investment of about $100 billion for 5 years, and by streaming the research project into planning, management, and evaluation process. Secondly, to develop national strategic technologies for driving continuous economic growth and improving the quality of life, which includes AI robots, wearable smart devices, smart vehicles, 5G mobile communication, personalized healthcare, IoT, big data, convergence materials, and etc. Thirdly, to enhance longer-term creative capabilities by expanding investment in the long-term basic research up to 40% of the government R&D budget, and also nurturing and utilizing creative convergence talents. First, to encourage the creation of new industries by supporting the technology innovation of a small and venture business and creating a viable intellectual property ecosystem. And fifth, to create a job based on science and technology by building a support system tailored to the needs of individual start entities and creating technology startup ecosystem. That's all I want to say. So in summarizing my presentation, a university should play a central role to realize the first industrial revolution be an innovation for education, research, and technology commercialization. And Korean government adopt the fourth industrial revolution as a new growth engine. KAIST will play a pivotal role for the success of the fourth industrial revolution in Korea. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much indeed. That was a wonderful overview. If you could come and join me, we have some time for some Q&A with the audience. What a wonderful overview. I'd always heard that robots may steal our jobs. I hadn't realized they'd steal our leisure time and beat us at golf as well. That could be a truly revolutionary moment. There is some time for questions. I have plenty myself, but I'd love to open this up. I have it on great authority that President Shin turned down the potential to have dinner with President Obama to be with us today. So we are incredibly lucky that he's given up his time to join us. So I'd like to see some hands for some questions.
I guess the university ranking is more important than me to enjoy the dinner with friends Obama.
I mean, we have some time for questions. So there are microphones in the room. Please show your hands and have a conversation. But I will start the questioning myself to warm you up. But come on, this is an interactive summit, so we want to see some hands. There's lots and lots of very challenging issues in that presentation. It's a wonderful story of how universities and research and innovation have really driven Korea. But the fourth industrial revolution presents an incredible new challenge. I wondered, as a science and technology-driven university, how important do you feel the role of humanities and social sciences will be as we try and make the best of the opportunities presented by AI and artificial intelligence? Where does that fit in terms of the creativity that we need to instill in people?
Because typically, tech university is focused left brain training, because it's a math and physics, something like it is just to train the left brain. We have a whole brain. So to improve, to enhance the creativity, you have to train the whole brain. So that's why in terminology use the whole brain. Okay, so but humanity and social science mainly train the the right brain. So I think as AI is developed, humanity and social science education more important, because that's the area we have to develop. As I mentioned that in terms of AI's capabilities, function capability, physical capabilities, memory capabilities, we cannot compete those AI. Okay. So the only thing left for us as a human being, you and me, human being, is how you creative, how you value create, and let me say value creative, how you are, how wise you are, something like that. That is directly related with the humanity education and social science education. Last night we chatted with some people who measured philosophy. I think philosophy is very important in the future, because you have to know what you are.
Absolutely. And I think it does seem as if that's that interplay between technology and social science and humanities is where some of the most important next steps will be taken. I'm still looking for hands. This is going to be a very quiet conference if we don't have questions. Okay, so we have a gentleman over here, and then we'll move to Holly in a moment.
My name is Alan Laus from Swinburne University of Technology, Australia. One of the questions I would like to ask is, in the world now, as we are facing to a problem, is a lot of young generation, they do not want to take mathematics. And when the time we talk about industrial revolutions, the four industrial revolutions, and particularly for AI, and it's involved a lot of very complex mathematics. So how do you deal with this issue to attract the young generation and get into these areas? And I'm sure not only talking about the AI, a lot of engineering faculties in the world, they also face with the problem is they cannot get a good students who have a good mathematics background.
Well, that's quite a challenge. I think it depends on the, the level of university, what kind of university you recruit. But at least the top university, I'm sure that you are one of the top university, and like KAIST. We don't have any problem to recruit, strong background, mathematical background students. And because most of our students are coming from the science high school, more than 70%, they have a very strong background in mathematics. So I guess you have to teach the mathematics from early age, or from the elementary school. Then it works, okay. And also, at KAIST, we will teach the AI for all our students from the freshmen. So that's the way to train the students. And also, you should not ignore the ordinary people in the outside. So we also transfer the knowledge. That is one of the mission of the university, transfer the knowledge such as a new development knowledge such as AI, and through the MOOCs. We call Korean MOOCs. And we are one of the leading universities together with the Postec and other universities in Korea, and they developed the K-MOOC, and any ordinary man can access the MOOC. Okay.
Thank you. And we had a question, my colleague from Times Higher Education, Holly. If we could get a mic over here, please. And we'll pass one down to Nick at the front as well while Holly's asking. So could we have a mic at the front as well? Thank you.
I'm Holly, one of the reporters at Times Higher Education. You showed us some great examples. You showed us some great examples of technology there, and I wondered, is there any danger that basic research is neglected in the push for the fourth industrial revolution?
I cannot catch exactly. What is it?
So really, is there a risk that basic research will be neglected as we focus so much on applied research? Is that?
Oh, I see. That's
right.
what you're saying. Well, it's a new invention and new discoveries should be based on basic research. For instance, the AI. The AI is there variety level of AI. Most of people talking about the application of AI, but development of AI algorithm is very important. For that, you need a strong background in mathematics. So basic science is very important. And also, if you major in biology, and typically, biology major students don't like physics and mathematics. When I ask why you major biology, and he or she said, I don't like the physics, I don't like the chemistry, I don't like mathematics. That's why I major biology. But I told them, if you don't study physics, chemistry, and mathematics, you cannot get a great biologist, because you have to deal with the big data. You have to make the model. Okay, so basic science is always a cornerstone for big discovery, and a small incremental invention may be done by just applied science, but all so breakthrough innovations, disruptive innovations, basis on the fundamental basic science.
And do you think the balance is right here in East Asia in particular? There's always a concern that the universities have really powered up the rankings based on excellent STEM and applied research. Is there now a move to make sure there is the space for blue skies thinking and curiosity research?
Yeah, right. That's a good challenge for Korean scientists, because Korea has been extremely good in catch-up. We call fast follower R&D strategy. But now we have to move the first mover strategy. So, but it takes time actually, because Korea now is only less than half century for investing the science and technology, mostly in applied science. But now governments realize that for real breakthrough, real disruptive invention, we have to invest the money in the basic science. I will talk about the discussion session. Right.
Yeah, we're going to have a panel session very soon about that. We have a question from Nick at the front. If everyone can just identify themselves before the question.
University of Nottingham in England. President Shin, really excellent overview and talk. I was particularly taken at the end of your talk, talking about the development, the next stage of development in Korea, and the trap, the middle income trap. This is very much similar in the UK, where productivity is flat. Right. And as we think about how do we change that, do you think this is a golden era for universities and higher education institutes across the world produce talent that is relevant to drive up performance in our countries?
Right. Well, right. So I think that's a big challenge for us, and as I just mentioned, that we are used to in the follow-up, and so now it's the time to make a new creations. Okay, so we try to change the paradigm in our education, and KAIST will be the leading role, and that's why I become the president. Government appointed me as the president to make the innovative education system. Okay, so it takes at least 5 years to change the paradigm. Okay, but it's a big challenge for us. Definitely. Yeah.
I do like this notion that given the constraints facing the world economy and some of the real issues we're facing, particularly in Britain, that universities are the answer to so many of these big problems. So we have a question here.
Okay, hi, I'm Professor Franklin Bien from UNIST, also known as Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology. So at UNIST, we also try to do the dual track for every student. And we've been doing that for the past 9 years. And I'm very familiar with the policy at DGIST.
Okay.
And one of the things that we face is for 4 years of undergraduate program, when we try to teach dual majors for every student with limited time, their capability of each principles are getting weaker. So after 7-8 years of trial, the feedback from the industry was that their capability of basic principles is weak. So now we're trying to go back to the old traditional system. So we have been trying this for the past 8-9 years, and we're facing a very big challenge. If we all do this together, or globally, like every university doing more basic science for the first 3 years, and multiple discipline for every students, then there's a chance. But since some universities do like electrical engineering and then go to graduate school, their expectation is very high versus things we've done at DGIST and UNIST. So could you comment to all of us how to overcome? I think we all understand the importance of convergence, dual majors for every student, but at the same time, it's moving very slowly. So can you comment on how we can be successful?
Yes, that's a very good question. Actually, that's a big challenge to implement non-departmental education, because even though they have a wide background in many areas, they then have a deep knowledge in certain specific areas. So how can we overcome our students to the knowledge gap between the major track students and the non-educational, non-departmental track? So that one of the ways is that is totally depends on how can we create curriculums and also what is the content of the teaching. Because for instance, my major is physics, and for instance, we always take the separate learning from mechanics and quantum mechanics. But we can combine the mechanics, quantum mechanics, and we already learned relativity and electronics. But we can combine. So if you combine the content of the textbooks, you can squeeze the knowledge into the one semester. That's the way to minimize the gap between the track major students and the non-department major students. But so now UNIST, I was founding president of UNIST as I was implemented that system in Korea, and now they become the senior, and I listen response from the students, and they are not afraid to talk about the people in any majors. For instance, I'm a physicist. I'm very afraid to talk with the biology major professor because terminology is so foreign to me, okay? But they are not afraid, okay? So that is a big advantage. But now, as you mentioned, that I really worry about the shallow knowledge. So that's a little challenge. But if it depends on what is their future career after graduation of undergrad. So if their future career is to make the startup companies or to work at giant companies, and this track students will be superior to other major track students. Because when I designed this track, I have discussed many CEOs in Korea, and giant company CEO and SME CEOs, and then all they say, I ask them, what kind of empower you want? And they don't care the specific majors. They want the students who easily understand the rapid change of technology and find out the problem and have a creativity to solve the problem. and have a capability to communicate with other people. That's exactly what I said in my presentation. Okay. But anyways, we have to work together.
We're coming to the end of the session, but there was one more question, I think. We'll squeeze a quick question in, and then we'll move to the next part.
Good morning. I'm Kartar Singh from India. You spoke very eloquently about the rapid strides Korea has made in terms of the revolution, the IT and other things. I just wondered, in the next phase, you spoke about the next 50 years, do you actually see a role for international collaboration in Korea's move to become a superpower in AI or whatever field you mentioned? Because we read a lot about, research used to be quite global, but I think now we're beginning to see barriers being introduced. So what, in your view, would be the role international collaboration would play in developing these new technologies and innovations, particularly in the Korean context?
Okay, so I think international collaboration is very important for Korea for next step, definitely, because Korea is not isolated country anymore. So we, as KAIST president, I strongly encourage to collaborate with other universities and also other companies around the world. And also, we have keen interest to educate the foreign students, especially students coming from, and sorry to say that, but underdevelopment and development country, because these days, I met many ambassadors in Africa. And 1 week ago, we had Embassy Day, and 31 ambassadors show up in our meeting. I'm surprised that. And the reason is that they want to understand the Korean education system, how Korean education system helps Korean growth. Okay? And so we have very keen interest to educate those students. And so that's what I want to say.
Okay. So we've finished this session, but I'm really pleased that President Shin is staying with us for the next session. So if we could just briefly thank him for this speech.
Okay, thank you.